We're recording now. Okay, we are recording. You know, so myself, I really don't have information on how this came about and why it came about and why it's being presented to board members to, you know, for a vote. You know, I really don't know.
George, are you
Madam
showing
Chair.
us
I
something?
explain it. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Wait,
First of all,
wait. First of all, wait. Let's get it in order. So who wants to? I'm gonna get back to you, Ursula. Okay, I'm gonna get back to you. So go ahead, Carl.
yes. First of all, you know, our staff is guaranteed a raise every year under city contracts. All right. Ursula is in the union. She gets a union pay raise every year, as I do believe George does also. Now, the board has the option, if they're really doing a good job for the board has an option to recommend a merit raise out of whatever we get to spend on the board. In other words, if we get $30,000 to spend for the board for the year, we have the right to choose if we want to give them a merit, if they're deserving it, and I believe they are, but that's neither here or there, is that we can choose a number to add to their salary for the year. In other words, we can give person X 3,000, person Y 2,000. So which means we only have $25,000 left to use for the board. But you know, in essence, you're rewarding them for the excellent job they perform during the year over and above what their duties are supposed to be. That's where the merit comes in. We haven't done it that often, and where it came from now, I have no idea. But you know, sometimes you know people come up with something and they're correct. So we don't have to give a merit, but we can give a merit.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Carl.
Thank you, Carl. Theodore, did you still have your hand up?
My question still hasn't been answered, so I think
I'm
Ursula
going to answer it.
simply has the answer.
Yeah, we'll go to Ursula. Go ahead, Ursula.
So, I've been at the community board 26 years.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I received a union raise, but throughout the years, I've always also received a merit raise. In the past, Carmen gave me a raise and nobody knew. It only went to the board in 26 years one time. So when George came in, he also gave me a raise. Unfortunately, somebody in Brooklyn did something that they should not have been doing. So now Office of Management and Budget decided that if anybody, if community board staff is going to get a raise, it has to go to the board. George wanted to give me a raise and also was asking for himself a raise. So because of what happened in Board 12, it has to be voted on.
Okay.
Jerry, if I may add on.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, go ahead, George.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so what Ursula says is absolutely correct. So in years past, and what Carl said is correct as well. Ursula is subject to union raises because she is a union member. I don't want to say that it's yearly because I can't say, I don't think you've gotten anything for the last year and a half, right, Ursula?
Correct.
Yeah. My raises, if I get one, are subject to the contract negotiations between all the unions. It's called collective bargaining. Basically what DC 37 gets, the police unions get, the firefighters get, and then they make it available to management. I'm considered management. Now, how did this came to the board? We put this on the agenda last month. I was not at the meeting. I attended my niece's wedding in Florida, and I wasn't here. But I wrote a one-pager on I believe Ursula shared it with everybody. It went out with all of the reports, and it was the justification for the merit increase. Now I put in a request for initially for 12% for Ursula and 7% for myself. I have to amend that because I spoke to OMB already. They're not doing anything above 10%, so I'm going to amend it to 10% for Ursula, and I'm going to stay at 7% for myself. But as I said, it was in last month's agenda, and I understand that you guys as a community board voted on the agenda, which is something that we had not done a lot previously. And when the subject came up for discussion, our chairman tabled it without a vote. So we are now here in executive committee. I wrote down all of the committee members. I don't think we have a quorum. We have 17 members here. But again, if we're just counting the 11 plus the executive committee members, I don't know that we have a quorum. We do have 6 board members that are chairs and are members of the committee, but I think we have 11 plus Burke, who's not a chair. We have Ageria, who's not a chair. Tolina is the chair of education. And you guys can help me with this. Yeah. Who else is we
John
don't have,
is chair of transportation.
yeah, but he's not here.
Oh, not here. Okay.
So George, who is eligible to vote on this?
Actually, it was up for the board. It was on the agenda last month.
I mean, is it just the executive members who can vote, or all the board members can vote?
Well, no, I mean, I think that that's part of the confusion is that, the chairman brought it to the executive committee, which is his prerogative. You can do that. But it still has to go before the whole board for a vote. So it's going to go in October for a full vote. I mean, it can go with the recommendation of the committee if we have a quorum, but it can also just go for the full vote when we go on October 28th, I believe our meeting is.
And another thing, I'm a little bit confused, George, with your request for an increase. Your request for an increase for yourself.
Okay.
Do we have control over your salary?
Yeah, you vote on it.
Your entire salary?
Yeah.
So who pays your salary?
The taxpayers of the city of New York.
No, actually, the question is, does your salary come out of the community board's budget?
Yes, both salary, Ursula and my salary, comes out of the community board budget.
Okay, good. I'm clear. Thank you. And I guess before we can vote on this, we need to get a clear picture of what the actual budget is and what our normal expenses are.
Believe me, we have more than enough to afford. Listen, again, it's frustrating, Ted, because I've had this conversation with all the board members.
And don't get me wrong, George. This is nothing personal with you.
No. But it's personal for the whole board. When I first came in here, we were giving back tens of thousands of dollars back to the city. Community boards.
I know that type of system, and I'm hoping that we're not in a situation where we're doing that still.
No, but Ted, so again, you have to hear me out. You have to let me finish.
Sure.
When I got here, we were giving back tens of thousands of dollars, despite the fact that we had 3 staffers. You had myself, you had Jakira, and you had Ursula. And one of the first things that I sought to do was to correct those sort of inequities. Before the pandemic, I had control of giving merit increases to the staff. Because of what happened, I believe it was Community Board 4 in Brooklyn, the district manager was basically giving himself raises, and OMB said, no, in order to put a curb to it, you had to take it before the full board. I've always been straightforward on our expenses. And again, since I've been here for 6 years now, I've always said it was my goal to spend every single penny that we got. And on top of that, Ted, last year, before the pandemic, well, when the pandemic hit and during the pandemic, I would give you updates about the budget cuts that were coming and how it was impacting the community board. So again, for you to say, oh, well, I think we need to have a review and all of that stuff, again, I wrote the justification for it and the one pager that I sent to basically the district manager's report, and it seems like it wasn't read. So again, I have no problem trying to justify it because I have more than adequate justification for why Ursula and myself should be compensated. Because last year, despite the fact that we tried not to give any money back, right in June, OMB came back to us and said, because of the feds giving the city all that money, they said, oh, by the way, we have $10,000 extra, so we're going to put it back in your budget, and we couldn't spend it in time. Because believe me, spending money from the city, everybody thinks that you can just spend money. It's not that easy. It has to be appropriated the proper way, and it has to be, there's a system that which we follow. For example, our chairman, Michael Burke, is one of the approvers because he is the chairman and he's the only one on the community board that gets a city email. And he does the FMS for us, which is how we pay our bills. It is also how we, do things going forward, including our salaries. So to answer your question, nobody's trying to hide anything here. We brought this to committee, the full board on September's meeting. I unfortunately missed that meeting, and some things happened, and here we are today. So again, if you want to go into how much I make, how much Ursula makes, then yes, we're going to have to go into executive session because that is not privy to the public, and we have people from the public on this meeting. This is a public meeting. This is open to anybody. So I'd rather not have that discussion with people, although I will say my salary and Ursula's salary and any city employee, anybody that works for the city of New York, their salary is public information.
Right.
If you know where to go and look, you can go find it. Right. So, again, I'm not trying to hide anything. I've been very transparent, but I'm also not going to let anybody sort of say that, we're not deserving. I think during the pandemic, we've more than demonstrated, because this board has imposed more work, not less, more work by creating 4 additional committees than what we already have or what we had based on our bylaws. So again, and for example, this is the perfect week. Today we have a meeting, tomorrow we have a meeting, Wednesday we have a meeting, and Thursday we have a meeting. Not every board member is going to go to each of those meetings. I and Ursula will be at each of those meetings because that's our responsibility. I'm not asking anybody to cry over our plight. We are all adults here. We understand what our jobs are. But again, if you want to vote on it, again, I don't know that we have a quorum here. So I'm trying to count and look at the bylaws to see who the chairs of each committee is. And I don't think that we do because I think we're missing too many people. But again, that's your prerogative.
Okay.
As I said, it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It's just a question of the office. And I've been on this board now for maybe about 6 years. And this is the first time I'm hearing anything about merit increase.
Yeah.
And I attended meetings before I joined the board.
Yes. So I agree with you, Mr. James. And, it's about if this was something that we are supposed to do. Personally, I just feel that we shouldn't do it. Me as a board member, I just feel like DCAS or the borough president is the ones that's responsible for the hiring of the staff, because I didn't really have anything to do with that. I don't have anything to do with their task and standards, so, like I'm like, you know, in a quandary, like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden I'm told I got to give a merit increase to somebody. So
Let me
I don't know.
question before you go forward.
The
Wait,
other
hold on,
thing
hold on,
is,
hold on.
the other thing is,
Go
as
ahead.
far as the budget, I don't know what the budget is. What is the percentage of your salary out of the budget? What percent of the budget is your salaries? You know, like I keep hearing that the budgets were cut, but what is your percentage? You know, so I don't know. I don't know the line item budget. I don't sit with Michael, you know, to sit with George to go over the line items on the budget. Like I was told, like it's not negotiable, you know, like that's something that I don't get involved in. Now that's just for me. That's just
So
for
who
me.
told you that? First of all, I just want to correct that because there was a lot of misinformation there. The
Yeah,
borough president does not hire community board staff.
I,
Now, you may have not been on the board when I was hired or when Ursula was hired,
yeah,
but if I recall properly, we do have board members that are here when I was hired. I was hired by and voted for by this community board. Father Gorman had a process.
okay,
There were other board members who were under consideration, and there was a vote. And I was voted to take the job. And I took the job in August 3rd of 2015.
okay.
That's
I
one of my
got that.
first day.
Yeah,
In fact, I want to
I'm
clear something up.
I'm just
We had a
really
committee,
clear.
you know,
You know,
the reason George is the district manager, we interviewed a whole bunch of people, resisted political interference, and chose who we thought was the best person at that time. I was
Right.
on the committee, and we chose George because he seemed to be the most appropriate person to fill the shoes of the previous district manager.
mhm.
And he has done his job. He has done it well. Now, as far as Ursula's been here, she's been here forever. I don't know. I think she used to live in the building over there.
Well,
So
Paul,
She's been here since
this has nothing to do
1995.
with this has
Right.
nothing to do with the individual. We're not discussing individuals.
what I
We're
want
talking
to do,
about
Ursula,
the office.
Ursula has been a diehard worker for the board, and at one time before this jerk in Brooklyn, Board 4, caused the issue by giving himself raises all the time.
Mm.
The board automatically gave them merit increases, so we didn't have to turn money back to the city. But it's not just so we didn't have to turn money back. Both Ursula and George and his predecessors earned it by what they did for the board and the community. So I have no issue with merit increases because the inflation right now is running rampant, out of control. And, you know, every little penny counts. Unfortunately, I'm on a fixed pension, but that's neither here nor there. The key is that they deserve a merit raise. They go above the call of duty at all times. George and I don't always see eye to eye, but he does a good job.
Okay.
And
Paul, I have no issue with merit increase either. I just need to be properly informed and educated about the process. And for instance, there are about what, 28 or 32 community boards. Is there some
59.
Yes,
Is
59.
there consistency amongst the board, all the boards in New York City?
Right. Right.
I
That's
mean,
the other thing.
like you were saying, this is like should not be our decision.
Right.
Because I mean, what if one board gives an increase every year and another board doesn't give anything? Then
Right.
to me, it's not fair for someone living in one section getting an increase and somebody else in another section not getting an increase.
Well, maybe they maybe they don't deserve it.
No, well, no, we're not going to say that. But can I hear from anybody else who's on the meeting, who's a member of the executive committee?
Can I ask a question? My name is Mildred.
Yes.
I'm not on the board. I attend many of the meetings.
Yes.
Do I get to vote or do I have a voice? Or
No.
No?
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't get a vote. All right. Yeah, you don't get a vote. All right, unfortunately, because you're not on the board and you're not on the executive committee.
I see.
Excuse me, I
Uh,
have to ask a question. If Mildred is not part of the board or the executive committee, why is she in on this meeting? This is not, this is a closed session.
I
It
know,
is?
yes,
Oh, well, I usually get emails from Ursula Green.
I
Yeah,
know.
but you should have been blocked for the executive.
Hold on. This
No.
is a public meeting. These are
Mhm.
public meetings. Anybody's allowed to attend.
Not what
Oh,
I'm saying.
All of our meetings, every single meeting that the community board holds are public meetings and open. So Mildred can participate, and anybody else who's not a board member, they just can't vote. That's all.
Well, we go into money matters, we have to go to executive session.
That is correct. But we're although we are discussing, we're discussing stuff on the periphery. So this is okay. Once you start talking about the stuff that, again, if our community board budgets are public knowledge as well. Every single community board gets the same budget across the city. Most of the budgets are tied to salaries, more than 90% for some community boards.
wow.
Our board is not. I mean, again, I think we've demonstrated over the course of many years with all the technology that we've implemented into the board and the changes that we've made. A lot of that stuff has come out of I shouldn't say our pocket, but it's come out of our budget. So again, the choice is yours. It's very simple. You want to vote on a 10% increase for Ursula and a 7% increase for myself, go right ahead. If not, if you want to get into the meat and potatoes and stuff like that, then you are going to need to go into executive session. But again, you're going to have to do it the proper way. And I don't know, because then after executive session, you have to have the vote. The vote is a public thing.
Yeah.
So again, and I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm trying to listen to the conversation, but I'm also trying to count. So to see if we have a quorum for this.
The point is, we never, up until this year, again, I'll say, because that guy in Board 4 in Brooklyn, everything was done by the executive committee. When the budget came out, they said, well, George deserves a 2% raise this year, and Ursula deserves a 5% raise, a merit raise. So we passed it on the executive board. That's all you needed to do. Now, because of this guy, it has to go to the full board. And that's what the issue here is, because I'm on the board 50 years. And, this is the first time we ever had an issue over a merit raise for somebody who's doing a great job.
Anybody else?
Does any of the executive members receive a stipend?
No. All right. Anybody else? Tolene.
I think this is Joan.
Oh, hi, Joan. Yes. How are
Hi,
you?
hi. I'm good, thank you. I think this has been fully explained and it should be understood by most of us.
Mhm.
And I'm ready to vote.
Okay.
Me too.
Who's me?
There's no point in dragging this thing out anymore. The
I agree.
two candidates are more than deserving. They work very hard
Yes.
beyond the duties that they are asked to perform.
Okay.
So may I make the motion that we grant?
Can I say something real quick, Mr. Stricker? Since Julia did call my name, she wanted me to say something, and I needed to say something as well.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I had a little computer person problem over here, so I got on kind of late. So I'm kind of lost, just a wee bit lost. I'm trying to understand why the chairman excused himself. I don't understand how that went with,
We had another meeting.
Oh, okay. He has another, okay. I didn't know if this was something that he couldn't be in. I didn't understand why he wasn't here. Okay, got that part. So do we have quorum?
George?
Oh, George is counting. I'm sorry. Do we
Yeah,
have quorum?
So we have this, there's 12 people who are executive members who can vote. We have, right now, we have Joan Claude is here. Is Carl Lanzano still here? I don't see his picture.
Yes, he's here.
We
Yeah,
lost.
he's blanked out.
Oh, no, he's there. Okay, good. So we got Carl Lanzano. Carl Stricker is here. Carla Basati is here. Hold on, Basati. Tolene is here. Judith is here. And Egeria is here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yes, you have enough. You have 7 people. And 12 is the quorum. 12 is the requirement. You have 7. Am I missing any? Am I missing any executive officer positions? Because John Isaac is the 2nd vice chair. Tolene is the treasurer. The secretary is Judith, right? So we're, the only person who, Jiri is the only one that doesn't have a chair who is an executive officer position, as is Michael. But Michael, we count as the executive chair. So that's 12. So we're good. We have 7. We're good.
So may I make the motion?
Okay.
I make a motion that we grant our district manager, George Torres, a 7% increase, a merit increase, and that we grant Ursula Green, excellent secretary, hard worker, a 10% increase.
I just have one question. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Stricker. I do have one question.
Don't be
Go
sorry.
ahead.
What is, okay, so you have this going on now. You have 2 people in the office. What is wrong with having 3 people if you have to turn money back to the Office of Management and Budget, or you have to turn money back in so many years? That money could have been used for a 3rd person in the office, a 3rd person who can be responsible for the website, for one thing, who could be responsible for more outreach as far as surveys are concerned, who can give Ursula some respite. So I'm not understanding, like that's just a curious question for me. Like, how come there is not a 3rd person?
Before the pandemic, we used to have people come from Rain and other locations. They were standing at the board and they would take the overflow work. But unfortunately, since the pandemic came, we have none of these people working in the location, and the board will be looking, I hope, into hiring a person to assist Ursula in the office later on this year. So I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you.
I needed to hear from George or from Ursula. How come there's not a 3rd person?
I just told you.
Because he says that we turn money back. And in the budget needs, let me just say, like in the budget needs, little things that are needed by the Department of Education, aren't there things that you could do as far as using that budget? That's what I'm saying. I don't know what the line items on this budget is. Like, how do I compare their salaries to what else is spent on the budget? I understand you have the technology in the building that you've been upgrading. I understand that, but as far as that's concerned, what are the other expenses that really comes out of? I mean, what is the budget?
Let me just say, our expenses include the rental for the copy machine.
Okay.
We pay for the cable internet.
Okay.
We pay for the guys to come and videotape our meetings.
Oh, okay.
And if we need paper, pens, the general office supplies. That's all we pay for.
Okay. All right, that's it. I'm just asking because it's like if you're looking at the line item budget, you're gonna have, your personnel supply, your personnel costs, and then you have your OTPS. I mean, I understand that,
Yeah,
so
that's all we have.
that's what I'm trying to say. Like how much is it, and how much of this money or this budget money do you have to turn back?
We have not turned back any money until COVID hit.
Okay.
They took our money away, and at the last moment, they gave it back to me like 2-3 weeks before the year end. I couldn't spend $10,000. If it was my money personally, I could have spent it, but it's rules and regulations, so I couldn't spend it. So ever since George came, the first thing George said, I don't want to give back no money. So we spend it. And keep in mind, we had Miss Berner, and we were willing to bring Miss Berner back, but she doesn't have a COVID shot, and she doesn't feel comfortable coming. She doesn't feel comfortable coming back to work yet.
Yeah, I mean, you could go to the city roster to find, another community coordinator or a community associate, somebody with a civil service title who could come in and who could take over those positions, And as far as spending the money, I mean, it is like, if it is, like just two people figuring out how to spend $10,000 in 2 to 3 weeks in alignment, keeping in compliance with city regulations, that might be difficult. It's just about you having people who would know how to do that. Like I know how to do that, but you would have to have people who know how to do that, So I'm just saying, like, as far as
I don't understand because I know how to do that, but if you spend a certain amount of money, you got to get bids and everything. You can't do that in 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, I understand.
And whatever I buy has to be in the office by June 30th. And if it's not, then when they do audit, I'm in trouble.
Yes.
There was no way to do it.
Yeah, I know. I clearly do know. I spent a lot of years knowing that. So.
And the only thing I'll add to that is, although we are a city agency, we are not a city agency like the Department of Health or ACS or even the NYPD. We can't just go out and buy anything because, again, it has to be related to what we do here in the office.
Right.
Other community boards, and listen, I have always maintained, I am the son of a retired New York City police officer. I am not going to put my integrity on the line for anybody. Yeah. We've had community boards in the Bronx get in trouble for their spending habits. We have evaded and avoided all of that because I scrutinize, as does Ursula. We're not putting, Ursula has a long history here. She's not going to jeopardize her pension because somebody wants to buy a couch or somebody wants to buy a marketing pen that says Community Board 12 so that they can go hand it out on the corner while they're running for office. We're not doing that.
Right.
And it's as simple as that. So again, it's not that there's two people and that you know how to spend $10,000 and I don't. It's just that, again, we have certain requirements that we have to follow. And I'll be damned, I follow them to a T.
Okay.
To a T. And that's why you've not had any discrepancies under my watch. And that's why you never had any discrepancies under Carmen's watch. And honestly, we've always had 3 employees because before, like I said, we had Jakira. Jakira was here for my first 2 years. She left. We always had Ms. Werner. And Ms. Werner, because of the pandemic, we were in the process of hiring her full-time. She was a part-time employee. The pandemic put a pause on that. And actually, and again, Ajira, you're a city employee, so you know that the city put a freeze on hiring for a very long time. They just lifted that. So again, we can explore these things and we weren't giving money back. So again, it's important that,
that we have clarity.
Yeah, I'll leave it there. But you and I have had this conversation before.
Okay.
Everything that we do is public. So again, there's nobody trying to hide anything. Again, my information is out there. Every community board is out there. We don't have discretionary money. We're not paying for flower beds in the tree pits. That's not something that the community board does. The community board spends money on the community board, the largest expense that we have now. And you can tell because the 4-7 precinct is having this problem with their community precinct council meetings. They're trying to go live while also being in person. We have done this seamlessly, seamlessly because of the investments that we made. We didn't do it because we knew a pandemic was coming. We did it because we wanted to be more transparent. But as a result of that push to be more transparent, we were paying for a production team. That's our biggest expense as a community board. We pay for all the other stuff. You know, we had to buy an air conditioner because our air conditioner broke. Air conditioners don't cost $10,000. We bought a new microwave because the microwave keeps blowing air. That doesn't cost $10,000. You know what costs $10,000? The $1,700 that we spend for the production. And that's why our meetings are seamless. And that's why and we do more than other community boards. So again, I don't know where you're getting this information and trying to say that we're not doing enough or that our website is not up to snuff. I put my website up against anybody because we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on BronxNet, and what else are we on? That's it. Those are the 3 things that we're on. Nobody else is. Just Community Board 12.
I mean, look, the things that you're doing, that's good and that's great. That's good and that's great. But there are other things that still has to be done, like just getting the website up to par. But
I think we should move the question. It's getting late. We're going to argue this thing for the next 2 hours.
We're not going to argue it.
We're going to come back to the same thing.
No.
Okay.
We're going to argue it.
Okay, this is Carla. Can I just make one comment?
Okay.
So for a long time, we did have a second full-time person, junior to Ursula. It was, I think her name was Lashika.
Yes. George said
so right. So, I really feel we need that second person so that Ursula can do work at her level of expertise.
Yeah.
That other person used to do all the emailings and that stuff. So if there's money in the budget, I would advocate for someone to support Ursula so she can do the higher level work that she's experienced to do. That's all.
Okay. And I would only suggest that, since this did happen, it was based on this person and the community board 4 in Brooklyn or whatever that brought this to the reality. But as it brought it to the reality, then the other reality is we got to see the numbers too. We do have to be, just be aware of the numbers, that you're talking about. So that's all I'm going to say right now. Mr. Stricker, if you want to go ahead and make the motion.
I made the motion. I'd like to move the question. I need a second.
Harry, I second.
Okay, now can we take a roll call vote, please? Is anybody there that can take a roll call vote?
Is Ms. Benitez here?
Let me do it for you.
Okay.
I think Judy's still on, yeah.
I'm going to do it. Just listen carefully because I'm not writing this down. I'm sure it's going to be recorded. So let's say, I'm going to start with Carl Anzano.
I vote aye.
Harry Singh.
Aye.
Carla Basadi.
Aye.
Tony Dickerson. Paul Stricker.
Aye.
I called already, right? Carl Lozano, I already called you, right? I'm trying to hit all the chairs. Egeria.
Abstain.
And Benitez, aye. Did George, just back me up on all the the committee chairpersons, did I capture them all?
Did Tolene vote?
Well,
No, she didn't call my name. I've been waiting for her to call my name.
Yes, she did.
Oh,
She
I
did.
didn't hear it. It must have blocked out because I didn't hear it at all. Aye.
Okay, so I think,
Is
and
Denise,
Joan
you
Claude.
have Denise Bond. I don't know if she's there.
No, let me do Joan.
Aye.
Thank you, Joan.
You're welcome.
Oh, Joan Claude, yes, okay.
Okay, I mean, those are the committee members, committee chairs, and the officers. Did I hit all of them, George?
Is Denise there?
Let's
No.
see her name.
No.
All right. Alfredo's not here. Michael's not here. John Isaac is not here. Robert Hall is not here. And Denise. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ayes and 1 abstention, which is a no.
7.
I don't think that's. I think you need 6, right?
I think so.
Yes, you
Plus
do.
1, 7.
You need 7.
Yeah.
You need 7 is a quorum, but you're taking a vote. 6 out of 7 people voted for it.
Oh, that's right. So we do have a.
Yes,
The vote is
right.
positive. So yes, all right, we're good then. Thank you,
Okay.
Carl. You're
Yes.
absolutely right.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, cool.
7 people have to vote.
1, 2, 3,
6 say
4,
yes.
Can someone explain that to me? If the quorum is 12,
Mhm.
how can
Wanna
6
take it?
people be,
No.
how can that be
Because we
positive?
had 7 people.
7 people is a quorum. 50% plus 1.
So that's
And
7. So it
and
passes.
7 people voted, but 1 said no.
So it
So we had a
passes.
quorum.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I'm cooking. You have a quorum, right? So a quorum, the quorum is 12. You need 7 to conduct business because that's a half plus 1. And then of the 7, you just need a majority of that vote in order to pass an item. So in this situation, we had positive votes from Joan Claude, from Carl Lanzano, Carl Stricker, Carla Basati, Colleen Dickerson, and Judith Benitez. And we have 1 abstention. An abstention, unfortunately, carries as a no. But you know, it's an abstention. It'll go down as an abstention. But you know, when you're doing the vote, it's a no.
It's a no.
Yeah.
Okay, did we call Beatrice Coronel? I didn't hear that. I might have missed it.
So
She's chair of.
Yeah.
she's considered ad hoc.
Ad hoc. Beatrice is still an ad hoc.
Oh, so that doesn't count as a.
No, she's
And it-
not, it's
Executive.
that's a temporary committee. It's not a standing committee,
Yeah.
Paula.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that. That only standing committee chairs could vote. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So the ayes have it. So what we'll do is we'll take this into recording to record. I mean, it is on recorded on tape, and we'll bring this to the full board meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Sounds good. Sounds
All
good.
right. Okay, cool. All right, so that's it. I call to get a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
All right, and a
Second.
second? All right.
I'll
Good
second
night,
it.
everybody. Have a good
Yeah, God
night.
bless. God bless you all.
Okay, cool. Good night now.
bye.